Welcome to the new Workology Go Podcast. In just under 5 minutes, we'll get you the HR and workplace news you need before you start your day 2 times a week. Get ready, get set, and go with the new Workology Go Podcast.
Here are today's HR and workplace news headlines from the Workology Go Podcast. I'm Jessica Miller-Merrill. This podcast is sponsored by HSA Bank.
In June, I was fortunate enough to attend the SHRM annual conference, where I was among 20,000 plus other HR professionals in attendance. It was the largest HR conference that SHRM has ever had. Like many, I am HR certified, and I have heard many of you asking me and asking where the HRCI codes were for the SHRM conference, specifically focused on recertification. In the transcript of this podcast, I've included details on how to submit the conference sessions you attended for SHRM, if you have a SHRM SCP or CP, but I've also included instructions on how to submit your HRCI credits. So basically, here's the deal. SHRM Annual chose not to offer recertification credits. That's what happened why HRCI wasn't at SHRM. The process is called self-reporting. That's when you don't have specific approved codes from HRCI, but you still want to be able to get credit for them. So if you're entering when you're reapplying for your HRCI recertification using the self-reporting function, I have a tutorial link on how to do that. So you'll have resources on how to enter those credits in and still be able to get your recertification credits for attending the SHRM annual conference this year. I also have some other resources, including the number of self-reported courses you can enter at the time of your recertification submission for both SHRM and HRCI. But back to the conference here. According to HRCI, the SHRM organization respectfully declined the application by HRCI to have a booth at the conference. You know, they normally have a booth there after the amicable split between HRCI and SHRM. HRCI does have an official statement on the matter, and I'm linking to that in the transcript of this Workology Go podcast. Really, if you read the article and you think about all the drama between HRCI and SHRM, this feels a lot like high school. And we as HR certified professionals are caught in the middle. Are you friends with Johnny or are you friends with Susie now that they've broken up? You have to decide today. Today's Workology Go podcast is about SHRM or HRCI. You gotta pick, right? That's how you might feel. I think many of us are feeling like we have to choose. Is it Johnny or is it Susie? I, however, consider myself Switzerland, and I've told both SHRM and HRCI this. I'm Switzerland when it comes to this topic. I choose none, or I choose both. We worked hard for those HR certifications. I spent nearly a year studying for my PHR, and then again for my SPHR. I am grandfathered into the SHRM certification program. I have a SHRM SCP, so I understand the value of that too. So, who should you get certified with? Is it SHRM or is it HRCI? I talked with Mark Fogel recently about the value of HR certification with SHRM as well as HRCI. Which one do you think he wants you to pick?
So I have 3 traditional certifications that most of those listening to the podcast would be familiar with. I have my HRCI SPHR certification, which I received in 2002. And I also have my SHRM SCP, which during its inception in 2015, I acquired. And the third certification I have, which is lesser known, is HRCI's GPHR, which is the Global Professional in HR certification, which I received in 2006. And that's really the interesting story for me in certifications, because I was working for a global manufacturer with literally no experience running HR outside the United States. And the certification prep and learning became very critical to my being able to do my job.
How do you think, outside of your global experience with the GPHR, has the other HR certifications helped you in your career?
Well, on a personal note, I think it's very, very important to have a certification, whether it be a PHR, an SPHR, the PC, the SPC, or some of the others. If you're a benefits executive or a comp executive, World at Work offers certifications, ATD offers certifications. I think it's important because folks need to know that you're credible in your knowledge. And when I entered the HR field coming out of operations, I did not know a lot about HR. I was recruiting and I understood my industry, and it was important for me to go back and take coursework and make sure that I knew all the technical aspects of the job that I was responsible for. And that goes back, as I said, 2002 for my SPHR. So I've been sitting for close to 16 years, going on 17 years now with certification. So I'm an old man when it comes to that. However, every organization that I've worked in since getting my first certification, I've made it an important discussion for my staff if they are thinking about advancing their career to be certified. And I've gone as far as in two of my organizations, sitting down before traditional work hours and doing prep classes on my own for my staff that were preparing to take the test because I value the certifications that much, giving my own time and energy to the cause of being certified. For employees, no matter what your organization is, having HR executives that have that certification, whether it be a PHR and SPHR, is a signal that these folks are credible.
Whatever certification you choose, whether it's SHRM or HRCI, it's important. While I'm dual certified with both HRCI and SHRM, at Workology, we offer SHRM certification preparation courses. We have SHRM Cert Prep. However, our recertification courses are both SHRM and HRCI certified. Let me let you on a little secret. In order for me to start offering SHRM certification prep courses, I did have to pick. However, with recertification, I think it's important either way. On our longer form Workology Go podcast, which is Workology, so the longer version of this podcast, we've done a whole series on the value of HR certification. And I'm linking to this series where you'll hear more from Mark and other HR certified professionals, some of my very great friends. You need to hear their stories about the value of HR certification. What does it bring? Which is more important? Why is it important to invest that time in learning and studying and taking that test? It is important before you choose who you certify with. If you are thinking about SHRM certification, or you want to pick a side, or you have a question for SHRM or HRCI, go ahead and use the hashtag HR certification for this episode of the podcast. I'll look for that info and we can start the conversation there.
With health savings accounts, flexible spending accounts, health reimbursement arrangements, COBRA, and commuter benefits, HSA Bank is simplifying the health account experience for over 35,000 employers and 2.7 million members alike, inspiring everyone to own their health. Learn more at hsabank.com.
And that's this episode of the Workology Go podcast, sponsored by HSA Bank. We're your go-to for HR and workplace news. I'm Jessica Miller-Merrill. Thank you for listening.
To learn more about the Workology Go podcast, subscribe to us on Apple, Google, and Stitcher. Our podcast is also available on Alexa and Google Home. Learn more at workology.com/Go podcast and access this episode's resources, links, and reports for more information.